make this move?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't matter, it's okay. I think it's big enough. Okay, this is a talk that I decided to do maybe a week and a half ago, and I started working on it a week ago. It may not be 20 minutes, so I'll just go through it. Does anyone know what a turducken is? Anyone know what it is? What's a turducken?
So every fall we have this thing called Thanksgiving in the United States, and we now have this new thing where you take a turkey and you put a duck in it, and then inside the duck, which is already inside the turkey, you shove a chicken.
Yeah, so instead of stuffing, you stuff it with a couple other animals. So,
Do you actually do that?
Yes.
there are versions with even smaller birds that keep going in. So, anyway, so I haven't done, so a little bit about me. I've been living in Switzerland for about a year and a half. I was not able to find any kind of Perl opportunities in Switzerland, so I became a Java developer. And I train other Java developers to use the product that my company provides. I train them how to write something like nice code for our particular platform, to write little plugins for it. I used to be a Perl developer. I've been to the last couple, I've been to 14 and 15, the Swiss Perl workshop. And that's the only time I've used Perl 6. So these little bits, the last time I used it was a year ago. So I decided that I needed to, I wanted to look at this again a little bit. So I'm by no means an expert in either one of any of the things that I'm talking about. So if you have any corrections, let me know. If you have, every example I give is very simple because I didn't spend a lot of time and I had to get something working, but I wanted to basically make a proof of concept that something can work. So the way that I'm defining a turducken actually here is that we've got Java coming from regular Perl, Perl 5, and writing the Perl 5 out from the Perl 6. So we're running the Perl 5 from the Perl 6, the Perl 5 is running the Java, so it's something like a turducken. Why would you want to do something like this? I don't know. For me, I wrote, you say potato, I say potato. For me, I ask why not. I think it's something that's just interesting. It's a curiosity for me. I don't know, maybe you have something you've already written in Java or some other language that you want to use and you don't have time to rewrite it. Maybe you can wrap around it somehow. The inline page basically says maybe there's something you can do faster in some other language, for example. So Perl 6 you can build with 2 backends, more in JVM. I started out by trying to build it just like this. It didn't work. I tried doing it by hand and setting a lot of things by hand. It didn't work. I tried very hard to make that work and it didn't work. And then I noticed if I took the JVM part off, it worked. And then I realized after a little bit of back and forth that I could install the JVM backend as well, but then when it tries to install something like Panda or Zeph, it comes up with some strange errors. Neither one will seem to install into the scheme. There's something under the hood that I don't understand that's preventing Panda or Zeph from going on JVM. If I install the More backend, it works fine. They both, I can run either one of these, and I can load Perl 6 modules with either one. So after I tried this and I banged my head against the wall a lot, I actually read the README for the most recent version of for Kudasar. It says this release is not fully functional with the JVM backend. Please use the More VM backend only. So I thought about this and I decided to go on to Perl 6 and talked with a few people. There were a few people who gave me some ideas, who gave me some answers, and it turns out that they confirmed before I realized that it was Panda or Zeph not installing, they confirmed that this doesn't work since probably the great list refactor. So I thought, well, why don't I do something from before that period of time? And I was told, well, the two versions of Perl 6 before and after don't look enough alike, so it would be strange to have something from before that. You need to have Java 7. It doesn't seem to build on Java 8. Maybe someone has done that, I don't know. Aside from these problems that I had, you may end up also having, when you're installing Perl 6, the JVM backend, you may end up with this problem where you run out of memory. If you edit this file, you can give it some better X options for the JVM. So I have to stress that I spent a lot of time on this part, just getting these things installed. Okay, so then I thought, so the point of the talk was, can we call Java from Perl 5? Can we call Perl 6 from Perl 5? Can we call Perl 5 from Java? Can we call Java from Perl 6? Can we call Perl 5 from Perl 6? Can we call Perl 6 from Java? And so then, can we call Java from Perl 5 from Perl 6? Which would be this beautiful thing. I found this online, clearly, this picture. But you have Java, which is a chicken, shoved into the gastric bypass of a duck, which is Perl 5, shoved into the gastric bypass of a turkey, which is Perl 6. It might look something like this if you actually cooked it. I'm sorry if you don't want to eat something like this, I don't either. So, but this is the beautiful visualization of what I'm trying to do. So, yeah. Okay, so the ingredients actually all are there, I think. There's inline Java, which we have in Perl 5. There's inline Perl 5, which we have in Perl 6. And there's inline Perl 6 for Perl 5. Okay, so for inline Java, if you try to install it by CPAN, you get this fun thing at the top. It doesn't appear to be indexed. It doesn't know what inline Java is. And I had this 4 different machines, 3 different versions of CPAN, 4 different operating systems. It just doesn't seem to be there. And that's also the iterations I went through for trying to install the stuff for Perl 6 also. So you just have to get it by hand and install it by hand. Then you get this guy. If you get this, you'll get this question. The Perl interpreter extension allows you to load inline Java directly, or allows inline Java to load Java using embedded Perl interpreter. It's still experimental. I could not get this to work on anything. Again, if you were able to, let me know, because it's probably some deficiency of mine. But if you don't answer that question, no, it's not going to install. So in this case, I can actually read in files, for example, and run Java straight from Perl 5. So I have a very simple example here. I call this one the Turducken. This is Java from Perl 5, and I'll just show you that it works. So that's this file. Okay. This is basically just copied from the inline Java documentation. I've got a very simple Java class in here, and I'm creating an object, an instance of this class, and I'm calling some method that's in there, some public method. So we see if it works. Hopefully it does. What should it print? It should print hello Bradley. Hey, it works. This was very simple. This is the first thing I did. There's no problems with this. So, okay, so the Turducken works. The next thing then is installing inline Perl 5. This was difficult for me because I had to first realize that I needed a certain version of Perl, and the first machine I tried this on didn't have this version of Perl. So I had to get another version of Perl, and then there was some confusion of which one I was pointing to. So in the end, I ended up, and furthermore, for Java, earlier you need Java 7, so I had to downgrade my version of Java from Java 8. So I installed the most recent version of Perl. I think at the time it was 5.2.2. Well, the one I installed for the operating system was the most recent version I had available. You have to install Perl using these particular flags here. It's not going to work. Okay? If you don't use one of these guys, it's not going to work. And that's all in the inline Perl documentation. Okay? Some of the things that I can't do using this from Perl 6, I can't do any of that reading from big blocks like I thought, like I could do in the inline Java version. I can't take a here doc and pull the Java code out of that and run it. I can't, these named data blocks are not working yet, I think, in Perl 6. This kind of thing, or at least that's what it tells me when I try to run it. So there's the ducking, here's the turduck. This is what we're using inline Perl 5 for, so this is calling Perl 5 from Perl 6. Very simple example. You see I'm running Perl 6, I'm using inline Perl 5. Once I finally got the thing to install, I create a new object and then I call this run method on that. And it's just creating an object and it's calling some kind of an accessor on this member variable here. So I call with the eval and I tell it to use language Perl 5. I just create a new person with the name Bradley and I print, and it should print the same thing as the last one printed. This is, which one is this? Perl 6 from, is this Perl 6 from Perl 5, correct?
No, it's going out from Perl 6.
Ah, yes, thank you. So this is that code, okay? It's the same code. This should also work. It's a little slow, but it works. It's exactly the same output that we would expect. So those two things work. Okay, the next thing is inline Perl 6. This one is also very hard to install, or it was for me. It needs to be installed after inline Perl 5. It needs to be installed using the same Perl that you installed. Well, inline Perl 5 has to be installed with the same Perl, and this has to know what Perl 6 is. If you try to run this by hand, if you try to install this by hand, you get all kinds of problems. You have to create a lot of different links in the system. I was able to install it by hand, but then it didn't seem to work. I couldn't create an object. And so in the end, I was able to do everything through Rakudo Brew. So. Okay, so this guy needs to know where Perl 6 is, so I have an example of this. This I call the reverse turduck. This is calling Perl 6 from Perl 5. So I'm using inline Perl 6, I'm using Perl 5 in here. And it's just got this run method, so I create this this person object in Perl 6, and I give it an attribute that it's got a name, and then I call the accessor on that name after I set it, and hopefully it will give me again exactly the same kind of functionality that I had before. So this is P6 from P5, right? Okay. So that's this code, exactly the same as the little thing that I just showed. Hopefully it runs. Okay, so I can do those three things. Yep. Oh, I have 5 minutes again. I didn't think I would even take that long. Good. So I can do those three things. I have not been able to do this, the reverse Turing. I have not been able to do the reverse Turducken. And this, I think, is because of this error that I had earlier. Hold on, get back there. This guy is why I can't do that one. And Java from Perl 6, the Turing. Actually, yeah, I can't do that. I have more examples of this. I'll put it up on the page because I didn't think I'd have time to get to them. So, or I thought I would have too much time, so I made extra exercises. Now I don't have any time. So, but anyway, so we've got inline Java, inline Perl 5, inline Perl 6. I struggled a lot with the last part, and then finally we get what I think is the Turducken. Java from Perl 5 from Perl 6. So this example is actually directly from the documentation. So I've got this inline Perl 5 object in Perl 6. I run some code. The Perl 5 code actually has some Java in there. I create an object and I print some stuff in Perl 6. I think this works. I actually only got this to work this morning, so. So, I think it's this one. Yeah, okay. So this one's called underscore turducken.pl because it's one of many I tried. And in the end, it seems to work. This will not say hello Bradley. Of course, this just uses that other stuff in the documentation. So it prints what I want to print. So I tried really hard, and in the end I was able to do something that looks like what I had planned to do, but there's a lot of stuff missing. I'll make some notes about the stuff that I think is missing and put it up with the slides and with the, and I'll link it off of the workshop page. Any time left?
Like 2-3 minutes.
Okay. So what I found, aside from the things that I already said, what doesn't work is reading Perl 5 or Perl 6 in from a file to the other one. The JVM backend works, but there's something wrong. Perl interpreter option to inline Java does not work. And I put all these links up here to the things that you can get to. This I'll put in the workshop on the page for this talk. It'll have all the links to that code if you want to look at that crappy code, or if you want to have the presentation. So I think that's it. Are there any kind of questions since I'm out of time? It's basically just a proof of concept from a person who has no recent skill in Perl and very little in Java. So
maybe not a question, but a comment. If you run into this kind of installation issue with inline Perl 5 or inline Perl 6 or even Rakudo, please just drop by and at the Perl 6 IRC channel. We are happy to help. It doesn't have to be that difficult.
Yeah, this is all on me because I have a small mental block that I tried to do something until I am almost dead, and then finally I decide to ask for a question. So that's it. But okay, I think that's it.